delta H naught is bond energies of the reactant minus bond energies of the products. So without writing actually we can solve it, but for your convenience to understand better I have done it completely. It forms only one oxo acid and highest electronegativity fluorine has got. Being a neutral molecule, does it actually affect in formation of a ligand or acting as a ligand? No, not exactly. Whichever has got the maximum number of unpaired electrons, they will have the maximum paramagnetic characteristic. We'll start from the 21st question. The reaction which involves dichlorocarbene as an electrophile is option A, Riemann-Tiemann reaction, option B, Kolbe's reaction, option C, Friedel-Crafts reaction, option D, Fittig's reaction. So what are they asking? Dichlorocarbene, that is an electrophile. Okay, this one is an electrophile which is involved in which reaction? It is Riemann-Tiemann reaction. Option A is the correct answer. It's one of the intermediate which comes as we are using potassium hydroxide and chloroform also. Okay, so that is the correct answer for the 21st question. Next one, 22nd, ethanol is converted into ethoxyethane. Option A, by heating excess of ethanol with concentrated H2SO4 at 140 degrees Celsius, by heating ethanol with excess of concentrated H2SO4 at 443 Kelvin. Option C, by treating with concentrated H2SO4 at room temperature. Option D, by treating with concentrated H2SO4 at 273 Kelvin. So, ethanol, when it is treated with concentrated H2SO4, you will get ethoxyethane at a particular condition. So, what is the condition? If you know, you can tick the right answer. So, the correct answer is option A. By heating excess of ethanol with concentrated H2SO4 at 140 degrees Celsius or 413 Kelvin. That also is right. Then we can get ethoxyethane. Okay. So, this is the condition in which ether is formed. The other conditions, ether will not be formed. Some other products is formed which you have already studied in your syllabus. Okay. Next one. An organic compound X is oxidized by using acidified potassium dichromate solution. The product obtained reacts with phenyl hydrazine but does not answer silver mirror test. The compound X is. So, we will see the options what we have. Option A, 2-propanol. Option B, ethanol. Option C, ethanol. And option D, it is propane. So, what are the hints which we are getting here? The organic compound X is oxidized by using acidified potassium dichromate. So, when I am taking the organic compound and treating it with acidified potassium dichromate, I should get the compound which will react with phenyl hydrazine but not with Tollens reagent, that is silver mirror test. Silver mirror test is nothing but Tollens reagent test, isn't it? For Tollens reagent test to be answered, you need an aldehyde. But here silver mirror test is not answered. That means I don't want an aldehyde, but I need the carbonyl group because it should react with phenyl hydrazine. So, it should have a carbonyl group, but it should not be an aldehyde. Okay. So, we will see the options, what can X be, and that product whatever is there, you should get after treating it with potassium dichromate. Okay. So, oxidation when it happens, for example, if I take 2-propanol, I will get a ketone. Ketone has a carbonyl group, but it is not aldehyde. So, it can answer phenyl hydrazine, but it will not answer silver mirror test. So, that can be the option. Why not B? ethanol already an aldehyde with potassium dichromate that was acidified when you treat, it will not remain as aldehyde, it will get converted to carboxylic acid, and carboxylic acid group will not react with phenylhydrazine. Okay. Ethanol, why not ethanol? Ethanol if you take, you will get an aldehyde there. Okay, you will not get a ketone. Aldehyde if you get, it will answer silver mirror test, so it cannot be that. Of course it cannot be the last one at all. Okay, so it should be 2-propanol. So without even solving, we can tell it is 2-propanol. Okay, but then I shall just write the reaction for y'all to be more clear. Okay, so I'll take CH3, CHOH, CH3. This is 2-propanol. When I am treating it with potassium dichromate. Okay, so what is happening here? I'll get a secondary, as it is a secondary alcohol, I'll get a ketone, I'll get acetone. As it is acetone, it will not answer Tollens test, or it will not give silver mirror. Okay, because it's not an aldehyde, but of course it can react with phenylhydrazine. That is like this. I'll write the reaction for you all. CH3, phenylhydrazine is NH2, NH, and then you. Okay, now further what will happen? You will get it as CH3, CH3, N, NH with the benzene. You will get phenylhydrazone. So that is the reaction. So compound X is what? 2-propanol. This one. Okay. Without solving or without writing, actually you can come into the correct answer, but you have to do a little analytical thinking to come to the correct answer. Okay. Next one. 24th. Predict the product C in the following reaction. C we have to predict. They have given many products here. We will see whether we can come to the correct answer. First one, CH3 COOH. When it is treated with PCl5, I will get it as CH3COCl. Okay. Then it is treated with benzene C6H6 in the presence of anhydrous aluminum chloride. Anhydrous aluminum chloride nodi takshana benzene ring jote CH3COCl. What is this? It is Friedel-Crafts reaction. So I will get a benzene ring with COCH3. Correct? Now this one, when it is treated with Grignard reagent CH3 MgBr. Okay, what am I going to get? I have my benzene ring as it is, the carbon atom, one CH3 group ide, oxygen ige MgBr will get added up and another one CH3. But do I have this product here? No. That means they have missed out something here, that is acid hydrolysis. What I can get? I will get it as benzene ring. I have CH3 group and CH3 group remains as it is. Here I can get OH, that is this bond MgBr with OH it will go, and for oxygen hydrogen can get added up in presence of water. But do I have this product? Yes, C6H5 I have carbon atom to which OH is attached and 2 CH3 is attached. So this is the correct answer. But as they had not mentioned this in the question, this is considered as grace. Okay. So if they would have given this, then of course D is the correct answer. So I hope you have understood why it is a grace mark question, what is the mistake which was there, and what is the correct answer if they would have mentioned it. Okay. Maybe if they would have mentioned something else would have been the answer. We are just doing the guesswork here. Okay. Next one. 25th one, the number of oxygen atom in 4.4 grams of carbon dioxide. Okay, it can be 1.2 into 10 power 23, 6 into 10 power 22, 6 into 10 power 23, 12 into 10 power 23. So it is, see here, only the point difference and the power difference is there. Here I have 1.2 into 10 power 23, here I have 12 into 10 power 23. Here I have 6 into 10 power 22 and 6 into 10 power 23. Okay, so somewhere the answer is there in and around these two numbers. We have to be very careful with the powers here. So number of oxygen atoms in 4.4 grams of carbon dioxide. Mass, molecular mass of carbon dioxide is 44, correct? Yes. So 44 grams contain 6.022 into 10 to the power 23 carbon dioxide molecules, correct? So 4.4 grams, how much? 4.4 is nothing but just one point you have moved, that's all. So this becomes 6.022 in 10 power 22. This is 6.022 into 10 to the power 22. If you want, you can solve and see 4.4 divided by 44, what will be the answer anta. Okay, you will get it as 6.022 into 10 power 24. Then what you have to do? So this is one answer you have got. This is the number of particles or number of carbon dioxide atoms. So this is number of carbon dioxide molecules in 4.4 grams. Okay, now we have so many carbon dioxide molecules. Each carbon dioxide molecule has 2 oxygen atoms. So I have to double this to get the number of oxygen atoms. So double of this is what? 12 into 10 to the power 22. Move 1 point, 1.2 into 10 to the power 23. So answer is 1.2 into 10 to the power 23. 6 2s are 12. 12 ನನಗೆ 12 into 10 power 23 ಅಂತ ಕೊಟ್ಟಿದ್ದಾರೆ, ನನಗೆ 12 into 10 power 22 ಬರುತ್ತೆ, ಕರೆಕ್ಟಾ? ಮೂವ್ 1 point, I'll get it as 1.2 in 10 power 23. That option is there as option A. Yes, understood? Okay, next question. If the bond energy of HH, Br, Br and H and Br are 433, 192 and 364 kilojoule per mole respectively, then delta H naught for the reaction. They have given the reaction, they have given the bond energies which is given. I have to find out delta H naught. How do I find out? Direct formula is there. Delta H naught is bond energies of the reactant minus bond energies of the products. Okay, so I will just write it here. Delta H naught is sigma BE of reactants minus BE of products. So reactants ಏನಿದೆ ನನ್ನ ಹತ್ರ? Hydrogen and bromine. So for hydrogen and bromine, I have only 1 mole, so I have no multiplication here. For 1 mole of hydrogen, 1 bond I have 433 plus for bromine it is 192. So this is for my reactants minus product matra 2 ide, so I have to take that into consideration. 364 into 2, 364 into 2, and all of them are in kilojoule per mole, so you will get the answer also in kilojoule per mole only. So we'll see what is the answer which we are going to get. This is 625 minus 728, which is equal to minus value will get 103 kilojoule per mole. Okay, so which is the correct answer which we have got? It is minus 103 kilojoule per mole. Okay, so I hope you have understood how to solve this. It's direct question, but you have to do the calculations here. Okay, next one. In the reaction FeOH thrice giving Fe plus 3 ions and 3 OH minus ion, if the concentration of OH minus is decreased by 1/4 times, then the equilibrium concentration of Fe plus 3 will increase by. So what they are asking, if the OH minus ion concentration is decreased, then of course the constant should remain as it is. how many times that Fe+3 ion concentration has increased in equilibrium. So first we'll write the equilibrium constant here. Equilibrium constant for this reaction will be Fe+3 by OH minus to the power 3 divided by FeOH thrice. Because it's a solid, it is equal to 1, and your equilibrium constant will be Fe+3 into OH minus Q. So this is decreased by 1/4, correct? So 1/4, if I go to cube it, I'll get 4 4s are 16, 16 4s are 64. So what happens here is this 1/64 times it is decreased. So if this has to be constant, this has to be increased by 64 so that it gets cancelled, and equilibrium will remain as constant. This value should be constant. Equilibrium constant should remain constant, isn't it? So how many times it has increased? It is increased by 64 times. How much? 64 times. So which is the correct option? Option C. It is 64 times. So I hope you have understood this problem. Okay. Next one. The correct statement regarding entropy is, at absolute zero temperature, entropy is perfectly crystalline solid is 0. Option B, at absolute zero temperature, the entropy of a perfectly crystalline substance is positive. Option C, at absolute zero temperature, the entropy of all crystalline substance is 0. Option D, at 0 degrees Celsius, the entropy of perfect crystalline solid is 0. So, where have you heard this statement? It is third law of thermodynamics. And what is the correct answer here? You have to read the question really very carefully. See, option B and option D are wrong. Why? Because they have given it as positive. It is 0 is the statement, correct? No. So that is the wrong answer. At 0 degree Celsius anta kottidare, illa what it has to be, absolute zero temperature it has to be. So this again is wrong answer. It should be option A or C. See, what is the difference between the two statements? At absolute zero temperature, entropy of perfectly crystalline solid is 0. At absolute zero temperature, the entropy of all crystalline substance is 0. What is the statement which you have learned? It is perfectly crystalline solid is 0. So it is option A which is correct answer, or which is the correct statement. It is third law of thermodynamics. Okay. Next question. Equilibrium constant K1 and K2 for the following equilibria are related as. So they have given us the equations, okay, and we have to find out which is the correct relation which we have between K1 and K2. One is K1 is equal to square root of K2, K2 is equal to 1 by K1, K1 is equal to 2K2, K2 is equal to 1 by K1 square. Now we will see the relationship between the two equations. What is it? See, NO with half O2 giving NO2. Here it is NO2 giving 2NO and O2. So the first equation, if I reverse and multiply by 2, I will get the second equation. Correct? No? The first equation, if I reverse and multiply by 2, then I will get the equation 2. So how is it related? I will just write the equation here. I will take it as K1 and write the equilibrium constant NO2 divided by NO and O2 to the power half, and K2 will be NO to the power 2 O2 divided by NO2 square. So I can write these two relation as K2 is equal to 1 by K1 square. To see if it is right, if you still have a doubt, I will write and show you all. K2 is equal to K1 means what? K1 is NO2 divided by NO into O2 to the power half. ಇದನ್ನ ಏನು ಮಾಡಿದ್ದೀನಿ? ಸ್ಕ್ವೇರ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದೀನಿ. When I square, this will become to the power 2 NO2 to the power 2, and what is there, this will reciprocate and go above, so I will get it as NO square and O2. Correct alva? So K2 by K1 square ಮಾಡಿದೆ, I got K2. Correct alva? ಎರಡು ಸೇಮ್ ಇದೆ ಅಲ್ವಾ? So K2 is equal to 1 by K1 square. Option D. Without writing, actually you can solve it if you are very used to solving such problems. See, the first equation when I reverse, okay, then K2 will be equal to 1 by K1. Then what I have done, I have multiplied. So when I have multiplied the equation, what it will go as in the constant? It should be squared. Okay, so without writing actually we can solve it, but for your convenience to understand better, I have done it completely. Okay, next question. Van Arkel method of refining zirconium involves removing all oxygen and nitrogen impurities, removing carbon monoxide impurities, removing hydrogen impurities, removing silica impurities. So what is the correct answer? Van Arkel method of zirconium. It removes all oxygen and nitrogen impurities. Okay, next question. The composition of copper matte is Cu2s plus FeS, Cu2s plus Cu2O, Cu2s plus FeO, Cu2O plus FeS. It is Cu2s plus FeS. So it is option A. It is fact which you already know it. It is there in your syllabus. Next question. The complex formed when Al2O3 is leached from bauxite using concentrated NaOH solution is NaAlOH4, NaAl2O4, Na2AlOH thrice, Na2AlO2. You should know this reaction because you have learnt already. So Al2O3, when it is leached with concentrated NaOH, what are you going to get? It is a complex which you are going to get. So obviously B and D are ruled out. If you remember the reaction, it should be A or C. So which is the correct answer? It is NaAlOH4. Okay. Next question. The complex formed when Al2O3 is leached from bauxite using concentrated NaOH solution is NaAlOH4, NaAl2O4, Na2AlOH thrice, Na2AlO2. So if you know this particular process, you can actually tick the correct answer. But still I shall write the reaction for you all. That is Al2O3 with NaOH solution anta kottidare, so it is water is present and you will get it as NaAlOH4. Okay, so it is option A. I have not balanced the equation. Next question. The property which is not true about fluorine is option A. Most of its reaction are exothermic. It forms only one oxo acid. Highest electronegativity, high fluorine-fluorine bond dissociation enthalpy. So which do you think is not true about fluorine? Option B and C is perfectly correct. Okay, it forms only one oxo acid and highest electronegativity fluorine has got. If you might get confused, it might be between A and D. A is most of its reaction are exothermic and high fluorine-fluorine bond dissociation enthalpy. They are asking which is wrong, okay, which is incorrect. It is option D. Why? It does not have a very high fluorine-fluorine bond dissociation enthalpy. Fluorine is a small atom, correct? It has got how many valence electrons? It has got 7 valence electrons. And when fluorine-fluorine bond is formed, as it is a small atom, the bond length also is very less and the electron will repel one another and it is very easy to break the bond. So, it is not high FF bond dissociation enthalpy. Okay, it does not require a very high energy. Of course, the bond length is smaller, but then because they have 7 and 7 electrons, there will be repulsion and it becomes easy for breaking the bond. So, the answer is D, which is wrong. Next question, which is true regarding nitrogen? Less electronegativity, has low ionization enthalpy, d orbital are available, ability to form p-pi bond with itself. So they are asking what is true. That means we have 3 statements which is wrong and 1 which is correct. Less electronegativity, that is wrong. Has low ionization enthalpy, that is wrong. Okay, they have a high ionization enthalpy actually. They have half filled orbital, isn't it? Option D, d orbital is available. Again, that is wrong. D orbitals are not available there. So it should be option D, because ability to form p-pi bond with itself. Yes, it can form p-pi bond with itself because it's a small atom, okay, and it has the ability to form p-pi bond. Okay, that is the correct answer. Next one. The shape of XEF6 is square planar, distorted octahedral, square pyramidal, pyramidal. See, XEF6 it is got. So, X, if I take somewhere like this, you will get fluorine, 6 fluorine atoms are there, correct? But there is also an lone pair of electron. Because there is a lone pair of electron, even if it has got 6 bond pairs, it will not be octahedral, it will be distorted octahedral. What is it? It is distorted octahedral. Okay, next question. 36th question. The number of isomers possible for the octahedral complex. They have given the complex and we will see the option 2, 3, no isomers, 4 isomers. So first we need to know which type of complex it is, then we can tell how many isomers it will form. So here it is MAA. This is a ligand with 2 bond formation capacity. Denticity is 2. Okay, and here we have a B2 and C2 type. Correct, no? So we have a bidentate ligand and then we have 2 unidentate ligands, 2 each. Okay. So which kind of isomer or how many types of isomer it can form? It can form 2 optical isomers and 2 geometrical isomers. So it is 4 isomers can be formed. 4 isomers is the correct answer here. But if you want to know or want me to write the structure, I shall write it for you all. It is cobalt, 6 ligands are there. So ethane 1,2 diamine and NH3 and NH3. This is optically active and so I'm just writing the mirror image here. So these are 2 optically active ones. The geometrical isomers, if I have to write it, you can see chlorine and chlorine opposite I write, NH3 and NH3 and then ethane 1,2 diamine. One more is with NH3 and NH3 opposite, chlorine and chlorine and ethane 1,2 diamine. So NH3 NH3 I have written opposite and then I have En here and then chlorine and chlorine. So these are the 4 isomers which is possible. Okay. Okay, next question. Carbon monoxide is stronger ligand than Cl minus. Option A, carbon monoxide is a neutral molecule. Carbon monoxide has pi bonds. Carbon monoxide is poisonous. Carbon monoxide is more reactive. Why can it form a stronger ligand than Cl minus is the question. So, carbon monoxide is a neutral molecule and carbon monoxide has pi bond. Either of one has to be the correct answer, because it is poisonous doesn't make any difference for us here, or it is more reactive also. But what is it? It's a neutral molecule also, we know, but being a neutral molecule, does it actually affect in formation of a ligand or acting as a ligand? No, not exactly. So it should be carbon monoxide, because it has got pi bonds. It can donate these pi electrons to the metal. Okay, that is the reason option B. And we are learning this as metal carbonyl compounds. Correct? So there you come across back bonding also. That is the main reason it is stronger ligand than Cl minus. Okay. Next question. The bivalent metal ion having maximum paramagnetic behavior among the first transition series element is Mn plus 2, Cu plus 2, Sc plus 2 and Cu plus. They are asking which has got maximum paramagnetic behavior. That means they should have maximum number of unpaired electrons. Whichever has got the maximum number of unpaired electrons, they will have the maximum paramagnetic characteristic. So we will see here Mn plus 2, then you have Cu plus 2 and you have Sc plus 2 and you have Cu plus. So how many electrons will be there in Mn plus 2? It is 3d5. Cu plus 2 state, it is 3d9, and Sc plus 2 state, it is 3d1, and Cu plus state, it is 3d10. Am I right? Now, which has got highest unpaired electron? 5 unpaired electron, 3d5. Here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Why not 9 or 10? In 10, everything is paired up, isn't it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So it is actually not magnetic at all, because it does not have any unpaired electron itself. Here 3d9, only one is short, only one electron will be not there, or one unpaired electron is there. Here also one unpaired electron is there. So maximum paramagnetic behavior is by Mn plus 2, that is option A. Okay. Next one. When a brown compound of Mn is treated with HCl, it gives a gas B. The gas B taken in excess reacts with NH3 to give an explosive compound. So, compound A, B and C are. See, in this question, the most easiest part I will tell you all. Look into the options. You will get the answer very easily. Okay. Option A MnO2, B Cl2, N Cl3. ಇವಾಗ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಏನು ಕೊಟ್ಟಿದ್ದಾರೆ? When gas B is taken in excess reacts with ammonia, it gives an explosive compound C. C ಯಾವ್ದು ಇಲ್ಲಿ explosive compound C ಅಲ್ಲಿ? NCl3 and NH4Cl. Rest all it is NCl2 and NCl3. NCl2 is not possible. NCl3 or NH4Cl. NH4Cl is not an explosive. We have it in the lab also, isn't it? So it should be NCl3. So compound formed C you have already got, it is NCl3, which is an explosive. And what is A and B? We have to find out. Now we will see about the B option. B il nodi elladrallu chlorine anta kottidare. They have given Cl2 B. So B also you know it is Cl2. So the second reaction you already know, NH3 plus Cl2 is giving NCl3. Correct? Idishtu gottide. Now I have not balanced the equation. Okay. Now we have to find out what is A. A brown compound of manganese is treated with HCl. So something is treated with HCl, which is giving one of the product as chlorine, because that is reacting with ammonia. So which is that A which we have to find out? We'll see the option MnO2, Mn3O4, MnO and MnO3. So which do you think is a brown colored compound which can give chlorine as the product when it is treated with HCl? That is MnO2. So if I take MnO2 and treat it with HCl, I'll get chlorine, MnCl2 and H2. Okay. Further, ammonia with chlorine will give NCl3 and also HCl. I have not balanced the equation. For me, balancing and all is not required. I have got my answer. It is option A. So it is MnO2, chlorine and NCl. Okay. So we'll see the next question. Mn plus 2 compound are more stable than Fe plus 2 compounds towards oxidation to their plus 3 state because Mn plus 2 is more stable with higher third ionization energy. Mn plus 2 is in bigger size. Mn plus 2 has completely filled d orbitals. Mn plus 2 does not exist. So what is the answer? We'll have to see here. We have to write Mn plus 2. It is belonging to 3d5. It has got 5 valence electrons, correct, in plus 2 state, whereas Fe in plus 2 state, it is 3d6 it has got. Okay, so how many valence electrons it has got here? 6. So 6 electrons when I put, it is not completely half filled orbital, it has got one extra. So from Fe2 to Fe plus 3 state when it comes, this electron is lost and it becomes what? Completely half filled orbital and becomes stable. Okay, whereas for Mn plus 2, if I want to get it converted to Mn plus 3 state, from here I have to remove an electron and it will lose its extra stability. That is the reason Mn plus 2 state is more stable and third ionization energy is very high. That means first 2 it is removed electron, that's why plus 2 state. One more if you have to remove, it requires a very high energy because it has to be removed and it will lose its extra stability. So which is the correct option? B is wrong. Mn has completely filled d orbitals. It has completely half filled d orbitals it has got, but then we'll see Mn plus 2 does not exist, is also wrong. Mn plus 2 is more stable with high third ionization enthalpy, correct? No, third ionization enthalpy is very high and plus 2 state is more stable. So option A is the correct answer. Okay.